All to
I mean,
do.
it's still gonna be my voice, Aaron.
Yeah, your voice sounds tired. Have you been losing your voice?
I completely lost my voice on Tuesday.
Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry.
Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday, always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron,
And I'm Dave.
and together this week we are looking through a very old poem of mine, pre-Wolf Journal. Dave's been experimenting with his lighting and sound.
Which is why it sounds and looks so bad.
Amazing. Yeah, so Dave, we're off to a good start.
Right?
And I will just say, I created for myself a mystery. It
Mm-hmm.
could have been the whole focus of this episode. Like,
Okay.
we dive into almost like a crime podcast formula.
Because your poetry truly is a crime.
True. But by the time that you fixed all your technical issues, I have solved the mystery. So,
Wow.
yeah, you've ruined the show, and you
For
should
our
feel bad.
listeners, for our listeners, to be clear, this does not speak well of Aaron's ability to solve mysteries. This speaks poorly of everything that I do.
Well, I mean, it'll still be kind of a fun conversation, I think.
Okay.
But let's get us into the realm of bad poetry. Yeah, what do you have for us today?
So, my poem for today is a poem called Newton's Lies.
Ooh.
Isaac Newton, a smart man of wits, reckoned plenty with math and stuff, but also thought to add his own bits. Nothing is sacred against this man's bluff. There is red and yellow and orange. There is also green and blue and purple. Where is violet, I hear you yell from Blorange, which prompts me to hit you in the kerple.
I love it. This you've really blossomed.
I know, right?
Yeah, you've taken some of those earlier skills of rhyming impossible words. You've taken your curmudgeon-y self of being accurate about things, similar to that.
And a jerk. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
similar to that of your poem on glockenspiels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this brings to mind so many of your earlier classics.
Mm.
And yet it is a gripe that I 100% agree on.
Right? There are 6 colors in the
There are
rainbow.
6 colors. Newton did 7 because 7's a holy number and he wanted to appease the church.
Well, and it's also funny because purple and violet, they're the same color.
It was kind of a stretch all the way back then.
Right?
And yet we have lived with this lie. There's no Roy B. Jiv. It's just... What?
What'd you say?
Roy B. Jiv? Do you know what that is, Dave?
I do.
Red,
Do you?
orange, yellow, blue,
Yep.
indigo, violet. Green, indigo, violet. Yeah, green, indigo, violet. Yeah.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Roy G. Biv. Sorry.
Roy G. Biv. Oh, Aaron.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I do thank you for bringing up the xylophone, though, because I just got back from the library with my daughter, and we have a library of things, and I checked out a kalimba.
Ooh.
And I'm really excited to play with it, but also it's a hollow-bodied kalimba, which is technically not a kalimba.
Are you going to write to your librarians? Those?
No. That would be ridiculous. I'm going to go in and yell at them personally.
Oh, good. Yes. Because they're paid to handle that.
Yeah, exactly. They're librarians. They're overpaid. They get too much respect, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just here to knock them down to the level they deserve.
Yeah, and with that kind of stuff in the library of things, you really should have them banned, like removed.
Right.
Yeah, those instruments that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dear listeners, librarians are some of the most important people in our society, and they make the world a better place. Please be kind to your librarians and
Yep.
show them all the love that they deserve, which
We
is a lot.
love libraries. Love them.
Yes.
And have everything in there. It's public knowledge. It's awesome.
It is one of those things where like it feels insane
Yeah.
that libraries exist.
Yeah.
Just like a free place where there's all the books and there's internet and computers and library of things, and our library just got a 3D printer and they've got story time and they've got I love libraries.
Yeah. This podcast is now a salute to libraries.
I thought you were going to say brought to you by libraries, which is
Ooh.
technically true because like we've used libraries quite a bit.
Yeah.
But they're not giving us any money.
No.
Because they, first of all, don't get enough money. And second of all, we don't deserve any money.
True. Well, speaking of books, I don't know how we got on this train. You were bashing rainbows again.
Yeah.
A stance that you hold in all positions. You tear rainbows down when you see them in public.
I see this going poorly for me. Cis-het white guy tearing down rainbows. Ooh. Let me change my poem.
Okay. Well, I bring to us today 2 poems on the same page. This is, I think it's from 5th grade.
Holy cow.
Because I remember writing this poem and I thought it was like the bee's knees. And when I read it,
it's exactly as cool as the bee's knees.
Yeah. But when I read it, because I volunteered to read it for the class, I got some pushback. I think people disagreed with the premise, the kind of the thesis or
they thought it was poopy and
yeah,
it had cooties.
Yeah. So this is a poem called Silence.
Oh my gosh, Aaron. How many times can you talk about the thing that you are breaking?
Yeah, it seems rather ironic. I waste so many words and sounds on describing the indescribable.
You really are pulling me around on John Cage, because at least I don't have to listen to 5:28 or whatever.
4 minutes and 33 seconds, right?
Don't care.
Okay.
I still hate it, but I hate it less than I hate your poetry.
So for those of you who might have just stumbled on this episode, being that we have had more frequent guests on, back when it was just the Wolf Journal supplying most of our poems, we came across 4 poems, I think, in the Silence saga.
Right.
Yeah, I think we have it all. It's even, if you go to our website and go to categories, the Silence saga is its own collection of episodes, because we've had so many poems of my past that explore this deeply resonant yet entirely silent topic for me.
I'm going to keep pushing and talking directly to our listeners. Dear listeners, don't go to our website and look for the silence in the past. Do you know all the different types of frogs? I feel like that's more useful information than...
Go to your local library. Check out a book on frogs.
Frogs are cool. They're great.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Okay, so here's Silence. And what we can say is this is like the proto-Silence. This is the first silence.
I guess that is kind of interesting to see like the progression of how you thought about silence.
Yeah, because this is before a poem got written in the Wolf Journal. This poem got written for a school assignment. So here we go. Silence is impossible. A sound is always there. No matter where you go, silence is impossible. The wind, sky, and earth, the storms, and the snow, they all make a sound. Silence has never happened, and it will never happen. Sound you cannot escape. It will never be silent. Silence is impossible.
That is an interesting concept. I think it actually bears out pretty wonderfully until you think about the fact that our universe exists.
Mm-hmm. There's space, there's vacuums, there's many.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know the numbers. I'm not a math guy, but I'd say it's at least more than 2%.
silent in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like it's probably like 98%, and then
I was gonna say like 99.99999% silent.
you might have guessed this was not met with applause.
Oh, really?
No,
Okay,
there was.
okay.
It might have been met with an awkward silence.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the people were like, "That's silly." And my argument now, do you remember that time? And it might still happen to this day. Dear listeners, we're going to be breaking the fourth wall a lot on this.
Nope. We are breaking the fifth wall. We are breaking silence.
Gosh. I want you all to just close your eyes and think about those times when you're trying to sleep and you have your ear to the pillow and you're like, I just crave that silence, and yet you hear your own heartbeat in your ear. I think that was driving me nuts at night. I remember that was a fight I had trying to sleep, and my ear was just too loud for me. And I was just like, this dang heartbeat is keeping me awake. And so I think that is ultimately the plight that I am pouring onto the page. I don't mention a heartbeat here. I'm just bringing my own personal experience to this poem that I wrote personally.
So, other poets, and I use that word wrongly, but other poets have written about, like hearing a heartbeat in the wall or in the floorboards. And they write beautiful poetry about. Actually, I don't remember if it's a poem or a short
Telltale
story.
Heart, I think, is a short story.
I think it's probably a short story. Other writers, and I use that term incorrectly. Make sure you go back and edit out me being wrong.
Yep.
No, other people have written good stuff, and you wrote a factual inaccuracy. And if we've learned anything in the course of this podcast, we hate factual inaccuracies.
Yes, you in particular. Yeah, and I would say even like the whole like heartbeat thing that I bring up for Poe, it's like a conscious. I mean, like his
right. It's the guilt. It's
a psychological thing. Whereas my 5th grade self was complaining that my ear was too loud when I was trying to sleep. And again, I'm bringing that to this poem, and this poem doesn't even make that argument. It doesn't talk about it doesn't talk about the sound of your breathing. It doesn't talk about the sound of your heartbeat or like a fidget, or even those things that like Cage himself would argue is the music in his piece of silence, is the awkward clicks and coughs and stuff.
Yeah, people shifting in their chairs.
Yeah. That is not what this poem brings to mind. It's just like it's like I'm getting on this soapbox and I'm just declaring a factual error.
But to be fair to 5th grade Aaron, were you planning on becoming an astronaut or dying in the vacuum of space?
That was never on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for all intents and purposes,
I wasn't going to experience. I mean, like there are vacuums here on Earth. We can create vacuums.
But vacuums are loud. See what I did there?
Yeah, I see.
Homonym.
Now that's a question I have. Do home like vacuums at home that suck up dirt in a carpet is somewhere within their mechanics what we would qualify as a vacuum?
No, there's suction.
Yeah,
there's pushing and pulling.
Okay.
There's no vacuum. I believe that vacuum, like a household vacuum, comes from vacuole, like a receptacle of waste.
Okay.
From the Latin.
And vacuum of space comes from it sucks.
I actually have no idea. That's a good question.
Okay. Okay. So this work assignment, because as much as I think this is a masterpiece worthy of a lot of our time, we have spent quite a few episodes discussing how awful my poems specifically about silence truly are. So let's go to another well-trod topic of this show. On the same page, in the same assignment, I have the poem Pain.
Okay. I have a task for you, Aaron.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Now that you are a published poet
Uh-huh.
and someone who is actually a good poet, I say this with love for you, buddy. You're a good poet. I love the good poetry that you've written. What I want you to do is write one more silence poem that is actually decent, that has a thought behind it, that is semi-original, that has a message to it. And then you can have 5th grade silence, high school silence, actual poem silence. And then you can do the same with pain. You can do the same with truth. You can do the same with every single concept that you have trod and retrod and retrod and retrod.
You've thrown the gauntlet there, Dave, and I don't know if I could pick that up.
I'm just saying, it sounds like a good chapbook.
Wolf Redux.
Never mind. Kill it with fire.
All back. Yep. Burn it down. Okay. This is pain. This is pain I feel. The pain that you feel when a loved one has passed away. It's in my soul night and day. It's made of burning from deep down that drives you insane. No one can feel this pain. My life will never be the same.
I don't know how to say this. And there's not a good way to say this, but I'm hoping that this is a poem in response to the death of a great uncle. And I mean that like generationally.
Sure, yeah.
Who you have met one time in your life, and you're talking about the depths of pain for this guy whose name you learned the week before.
That would be interesting. Actually, I can't...
I'm guessing it's not.
No, but the thing is, I didn't lose like a grandparent or like a close family member until 8th grade. So this is like 3 grades before any major, like what I would consider like a monumental death within the immediate family. So in that sense, kind of, I am writing about the death of a family member without like having lost an uncle, an aunt, a cousin, a grandparent, nothing. I was just winging it here.
But you speak so true, Aaron.
It just resonated as someone who had truly experienced such a pain. You could tell it was there. By the way, this got a red check mark. So I completed
Aaron
the assignment.
completed it.
And I put well instead of will, so I have one typo it's not typo. What is it called? Misspelling correction, but not heel. Heel is written like the heel of a foot, not.
Oh, so your teacher corrected well to will
and missed heel,
but not heel.
Yeah.
Well, maybe your teacher thought you were making a pun.
No one can heal this pain. Like a dog, like when a dog's on a walk.
No one can bring the pain to heel.
Yes, that is spot on. Mm-hmm. A generous reason.
Spot. Like a dog.
Like a dog. Look at us. We've done this too long.
Dear listeners, this is why we are pastors and not stand-up comics.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out, I tried to differentiate my own kind of making of the classic star. So for years, I put this little loop in this.
Why?
This is a star. Why? Because it makes it a star of mine. It's my star, Dave. It's unique. It's special. You'll notice there's a star here. Mm-hmm. And there's a star right there in the middle of the pain poem. Well, that's the thing. That was the mystery. The assignment is called Steal a Line Poem. Steal a Line Poem. So there are two starred lines within these poems. One is the
Yeah.
wind, sky, earth, and the storms and the snow. That's one line. The other one
Okay.
is of burning from deep down that drives you insane. Those two lines are not lines that I wrote myself. They are the assignment, I assume, was to take a line from an existing poem and then put it into your own work. So, what poem did I bastardize to create these two Frankensteins?
Frankenstein's monsters.
Monsters. Yeah. Okay. Pedantic.
I'm not pedantic. I sort of just pick little things out. I don't find that I'm a pedant.
Okay. Dave.
I'm sorry.
This was the thing I was trying to figure out for a half hour.
Okay.
I did my Google quotes and I found it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to figure out, was it the same poem or two different poems? It was the same poem. And
Please tell me the title is Silent Pain.
no, that would be amazing.
Oh.
No, I actually found proof that it was a typical assignment to use this book because I found a Canadian school books that has this assignment. And so the poem that you were supposed to use is from a picture book. The revised version was published in 1998. So
Okay.
this was a newer assignment, but it was called If You're Not From the Prairie by David Bouchard with illustrations by Henry Ripplinger. And this book was probably read to us, and then we had to take two lines from this book. It's a rather long poem, and I could not find the entirety of the poem in print because it's copyrighted. And that's
Sure.
where I was worried about this pain one not being from the same poem. But I finally found proof of it from a YouTube clip of a teacher reading the full book.
Nice.
Yeah, so the pain line is from page 20. The wind, sky, and earth one is from much earlier on in the poem, I think. Yeah. That's the actual poem, and I destroyed it. Have you ever heard of this poem, If You're Not From the Prairie?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't really remember it at all.
Okay.
The pictures kind of rang a bell when I started looking at the picture book.
No.
But it's David Bouchard actually was just awarded author of the Order of Canada. Or sorry, he's in the Order of Canada and he's an award-winning author. I read that so wrong.
Okay.
But
that
makes more sense.
it doesn't really make much of a difference to me because I don't know what the Order of Canada is. So,
But he's an honorary doctor at Queen's University, and he has a public school named after him. And he's mentioned in the University of Minnesota Center of Climate Literacy. So way to go, David Bouchard. You inspired this fifth grade self of mine to write two awful poems, but still good work.
well, and it's so nice that you can find, like an author who grew up with your experience of growing up in Canada.
Oh, gosh. Ohio? Ohio is not Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ohio, Canada.
No.
It's a enclave. Right?
Yeah.
What's
It goes
it
Providence,
called?
Enclave.
No, like a landlocked nation held inside of a different nation, like Lesotho in South
or
Africa.
Enclave of the Bear in Risk 2210. Yeah, I get you.
Oh my gosh. I thought I was making the weirder reference.
So, Dave, we've covered two poems. Good or garbage?
2 check marks. Aaron technically did the work.
Yay! Oh, I thought you were breaking silence. Like you were, I thought you were like working with the prompt of the poem to prove its excellence. But okay, check mark. I'll take it.
If nothing else, it sounded closer to a toot. So it's not breaking silence, but breaking wind.
I believe you've done that joke before, even with the silence one. But
well, because you have used silence how many times, sir? I am not a creative man. I can't make jokes.
Speaking of wind, we're going to end this week with the words of a true poet. This week coming to us from David Bouchard and this fifth grade assignment. We're going to read just a bit of, I'll read the first 2 stanzas of this. If You're Not From the Prairie. If you're not from the prairie, you don't know the wind. You can't know the wind. Our cold wind of winter cuts right to the core. Hot summer wind devils can blow down the door. As children, we know when we play any game, the wind will be there, yet we play just the same. If you're not from the prairie, you don't know the wind. If you're not from the prairie, you don't know the sky. You can't know the sky. The bold prairie sky is clear, bright, and blue, though sometimes cloud messages give us a clue. Monstrous gray mushrooms can hint of a storm, or painted pink feathers say goodbye to the warm. If you're not from the prairie, you don't know the sky.
That's lovely.
Yeah. It's a rather long poem, so if you have a kid ages 7 to 10, that's the reading recommendation for this beautifully illustrated book. This has been My Bad Poetry.
Please go and write your own bad poetry so I don't have to talk to Aaron about his anymore. Please. Please, I'm begging you.
Speaking of which, we have some open slots here coming up. If you want to sign up, just give us a ring.
Make a quick plug in our own podcast for our own podcast.
Rhyme or free doesn't matter.